Rather than giving a yearly gift, sustainers give a monthly donation that continues as long as you want. Giving 5, 20, 100, or more monthly helps change the way KPFT works. Sustainers help us meet our operating expenses without days and days of on-air fundraising. That means less pledge drive, more efficiency, and greater stability for KPFT, regardless of the time of year. Again, visit kpft.org to make a difference today. This is 90.1 KPFT Houston, kpft.org worldwide.
Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show today. We are back live, folks. We are back live. We're out of fund drive. We hope to be out of fund drive for a while. Don. Let me first give Don some commendations for a hell of a lot of work that he got out here to make sure a lot of this stuff was run on time and the programming was done well. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Great. Our producer extraordinaire. Anyway, Don, how did we do?
220. So we did very well. We love that we have 419 new members. And that exceeded our goal. That was way over our goal.
That is what we want to hear.
Yes.
But folks, before Don continues, I want all those that are listening on Facebook, not on air. This is at KPFT today, meaning we're in Houston on 90.1 FM Houston if you're listening, and likewise on Blog Talk Radio. But folks, I want you to share on Facebook if you're on Facebook right now, because that is how we get the program moving. And those that are listening on air, you can move back and forth, etc., etc. So we had a good fun drive.
Yes, definitely.
Well, folks, that could only happen because of you. And I want to thank all of you guys. I think all together, Politics Done Right met its commitments. And that is only because of you guys. Like I've always told you guys, it is your show. This belongs to you. When you have things that you want to send about the show or want to ask about the show or want to have on the show, remember to go to info@politicsdoneright.com. Anyhow, Don, before we get started, I want to read something. One of our people here wanted us to say that we have a quick announcement to make, and I want to read it as she wrote it. I have an announcement about free income tax preparation service. If your household income is less than $58,000, the Chinese Community Center of Houston, Texas is offering free tax preparation, no appointments needed. Tax service is available on Mondays, Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturdays from 12:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. till April 16th. The Chinese Community Center has bilingual tax preparers to assist your tax preparation in Spanish, Mandarin, Cantonese, and Vietnamese. For any questions, call the main telephone number at 713-271-6100, and online it is ccchouston.org. Okay, folks, that is our public announcement for the day. Now, we are going to have a wonderful show for you today. First of all, I want to tell you, D.C., as you guys know, we were out there in D.C. for the March for Our Lives. Don, that march was the bomb. That march showed me that, in fact, your generation, the new generation, has its act together. Forget about what you have the baby boomers and Gen Xers are saying. If there are anyone that failed you guys, we did. But I tell you what you guys are doing now is what needs to be done. All the young people that put that stuff together all throughout the country in the over 850 places that it occurred, great job. We are waiting for you to continue your lead. And those of us, the grown-ups, we're right there with you. Now, I have a whole lot of footage, and I don't, that I'm going to throw some of them on the website, not on the website, but on the Facebook page for KPFT as well. Soon done. I hadn't done that yet, but I'll do that pretty soon. But folks, today's show is very important, extraordinarily important. Yes, we had that march about guns and so forth, but if you don't listen to the show today, and if we don't do what we're talking about in the show today, all that those young people have done with the gun marches will be moot. Because you know what? We have to get the government out of the hands of the NRA. And right now, our government is in the hands of the NRA. So the title of the show today is new CNN poll numbers should be Democrats and progressives wake up call. Okay? That's the name of the show today. And it goes as follows. Those warning of the impending blue wave becoming a trickle or worse take a lot of flack from many who believe a huge win for progressives and Democrats in November is a foregone conclusion. I've gotten sliced up at Daily Kos. I've gotten sliced up at Op-Ed News and all these other places because they say you're not following the numbers. And I'm saying I'm not only following the numbers, but I'm following the trends. And the trends don't look good. I mean, they don't look good in the aggregate. The most recent CNN poll should be a wake-up call. The poll showed both the Donald Trump numbers are getting better, and the generic poll favoring Democrats went from a 16 percentage point advantage to just a 6 percentage point advantage now. That is a humongous change in 1 month. It speaks less, and this is where I want all you guys to understand. It speaks less about what Republicans are doing, what the right wing is doing, and much more about what progressives, read Democrats, are not doing. And that is important. That's not a takedown of Democrats. That's not a takedown of progressives. That's just the reality. Before I get into the program, however, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays at 9 p.m.
And of course, there's Partisan Gridlock with
Jeff Berg on Fridays at 3 p.m.
And don't you forget about Open Journal with
Dwayne Bradley and crew on Mondays at 6 p.m.
And then we have Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz, the really kind of music that I love by
Juan Flores on Tuesdays at noon.
And of course, we have right here next to me, across the window, in the studio, our program director and our producer extraordinaire with The Human Condition at 3 p.m., followed by The Free Minstrel Show with Don and Dwayne at 4 p.m. on Fridays on the KPFT HD2 side. Folks, check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is listener-supported public community radio. So if you like what you hear, remember, come to us and tell people about us. So please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom?
The corporatocracy.
Don't you forget it, folks. Remember, we are not influenced by the corporatocracy because, as you know from that big fund drive we just had, which was for all practical purposes successful because of you, we only owe allegiances to you, which means we only owe the truth to you. Now, we don't want to be asking for donations and all of that like we did for those 4 weeks all the times. So what we tell people, if you want to shorten those kind of donations, always go to kpft.org. And if you hear something that you like and you have some extra little ducats in your purse or something, or in your wallet or whatever, just go to kpft.org and touch that donate button and say, you know what, I want to keep these guys well funded. But folks, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Now, I want you to listen keenly. I want our callers to call in. You know, guys, Don, before I go to this blog of the week, I miss my confounded KPFT callers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like a drought for 4 weeks. I miss you guys, all right? So I want to hear from you, all of you, including some that have never called, but I've always listened. And I hope to hear from more women. You know, we are talking about being progressives, and we are talking about the Me Too movement, and we're talking about all these things. What I want to beg women that are listening to call in and say your piece on air. Because, I'm a male, Don's a male, we talk, but you know what? Unless we have everybody in the conversation, we don't have a conversation. All right, so everybody that's listening after the blog of the week, we're going to be opening the phone lines, and we want to hear from all of you, and we want to hear about all that you're thinking about what's going on right now. But anyway, the title of the blog post is Trump's increasing poll numbers tell an important story. Then I say, Democrats, are you listening? All right. If one goes to bed over several weeks with the mainstream media, the progressive pundits and activists all singing that the sky is falling on Donald Trump, and then wake up to a 6-point increase in his poll numbers, it must give everybody a pause. You've got to pause. If everything you're hearing on TV says that the sky is falling on Donald Trump, and then you see the trend line of Donald Trump's polls, and that you see it going up, I don't care what they're going to try to tell you. Oh, he has a floor, he has a ceiling, he has this or whatever. Forget that. Just look at the numbers. Trump's increase in poll numbers is an essential barometer of the American population that progressives must read carefully. And there is a precedence for this behavior in the electorate under fire. CNN reported the following during the 1998 election at the heights of the Clinton-Lewinsky scandal. I'm going to read it for you. And it says, leading up to Election Day, the president's affair with former White House intern Monica Lewinsky was considered the X factor. Would it affect voter turnout? Would members of Congress who voted for impeachment, would inquiry be rewarded or punished? But when the votes were tallied, the presidential investigation appeared to have little to no impact at all. For the most part, Americans returned their incumbents to Washington, regardless of their position on the investigation. All members of the critical House Judiciary Committee who were up for re-election were rehired. 29 Democrats who broke party ranks and supported the Republican proposal for a broad impeachment inquiry also won another term. What am I telling you, people? I'm telling you, folks. Right now, as the TV is hyperventilating about Stormy Daniels and Russia, the rest of America, that is for the elitists to do. They're intrigued by all this stuff. But let me continue with the broadcast. I say that a little bit better here. The most recent CNN generic ballot poll provides another shocker. In 1 month, the Democratic advantage went from 16 points to now 6 points. The electorate is understandably rudderless. I repeat, the electorate is understandably rudderless. Those that should be the rudders right now are failing. Those consuming mostly or solely mainstream media would get the impression that America is pulling the rug from under the Republicans. That is far from the case. Broadcast news, cable news, and radio news bombard Americans with the latest news about Stormy Daniels. They follow every shenanigan or attention-getting ploy her lawyer uses to bait the mainstream media to coverage or for coverage. The mainstream media beat 2 stories to death: the Russia scandal and the Stormy Daniels sex scandal. They are fascinated with these stories because living in their strata, they see it as the most critical issue. After all, can the President of the United States get away with virtual treason and a sex scandal? If there is something there, he is unlikely to get away with it in the long run. And no amount of cable news, broadcast news, and radio news is going to change that. The problem is, even as the mainstream media hyperventilate on these issues, there is no one on either side of the aisle investing enough time into telling Americans beyond the Trump scandals what they will do if elected or re-elected. And under that scenario, minimal electoral changes are likely to occur because they do not have a driver for their wants and their needs. Democrats are expecting a blue wave. There is every reason to believe that there should be one, but it won't come just from disgust for Trump or a Republican Party with demonstrably failed policies. It requires that Democrats tell the American people precisely how they will make their lives better. They must inform Americans that they will solve the healthcare issues once and for all by instituting a single-payer Medicare for all healthcare system. Let me digress a bit from the blog of the week. A lot of folks are going to come back and tell me, well, you can't just come out and say you're going to give Medicare for all or universal health care, Yes, you can. You know why? Because in 2008, it was promised to them that they were going to get a healthcare system that made things better. And it has exploded into a healthcare system now that is costing them too darn much that they can't afford, or that in as much as they have coverage, they barely can't use it. So you can't come back and just tell them, we're going to come back and fix the damages that Republicans did to Obamacare. That just won't do. That just won't do. You have to give them meat. You have to tell them what you are going to do to solve the deficiencies in Obamacare that we, from the beginning, knew were there. And that now requires us to go to a single-payer Medicare for all system. When it is explained to Americans and when it is explained perfectly to them, that's what they want. And we cannot allow the plutocracy, those in the plutocracy, to continue the lies that makes that not a reality. We cannot allow that. And that's why we need independent media. Because you look at MSNBC, CBS, none of them are just saying, look, outright, why didn't they tell you that it's working in Canada? Why didn't they tell you it's working in England? Why didn't they tell you it's working in France? Why didn't they tell you it's working in Taiwan? The mainstream media knows that. Every politician that comes on TV and says, oh, but it'll cost too much a race, they know they're lying. Why aren't they telling them that? Why is the mainstream media not fixing that problem and saying, no, politician, you are lying? That's why you need the independent media. That's why you need the KPFTs, the Politics Done Right, the Majority Reports, and all these other guys. That's why you need them. Why didn't they let Bernie say it on TV while he was selling out stadiums? Yes, thank you very much. Having a great producer is wonderful. Thank you, Don. You're absolutely right about that. Now, they must tell their constituents that they will finally create a subsidized child care system that makes working possible for all those who want to do so. They need to show Americans that they will solve the overbearing student loan and debt crisis. They need to tell the segment of the population decimated by the justice system that they will orchestrate necessary reforms. They must be proactive on many other progressive issues most Americans want. Notice I said progressive issues, and then I say most Americans want. And you know why that is? Because whether you are a Republican, whether you're a conservative, whether you're an anarchist, most of the things Americans want are found in the progressive values, in those documents that define what progressivism is. So you have to be a proud progressive and tell people, you don't have to call it progressive. Just say, do you want this? Do you want that? That is what we're giving you. That is what you're voting for. That is what we got to do. Continuing. The Democratic narrative must be bold. Most importantly, it must be threefold. And I want you to listen good to this one, folks. This is important. For those voters who want to know what they get out of voting for the progressives, the above is good enough. It is good to just tell them that you're going to give them good health insurance. It's good. You're going to give them get rid of their children's debt, etc. All of that is great. Some people that's all they want to know. That's all they have the time to know. It gives those voters an affirmative reason to vote. So you have to have that plain message first that gives them the affirmative reason to vote. And I tell you what, that's going to be most people. Most people, you just have to say, this is what we're going to do, vote for us. And once you tell them that, they'll say, this is what this guy stands for, this is what this politician stands for, then I'm voting that way. Second, for those who want to know that the democratic promises are possible, provide a realistic path to fiscally and politically get there. And what is that realistic path? You're going, for all those people that have been, that's used Ponzi scheme to beat taxes, and you are not going to allow that anymore. You are going to collect the taxes from those who America has been good to, and those who have pilfered the American system, those who have dragged the oil out of the land and just given it to a few, those who have mined the coal and not paid their fair share of taxes, those who continue to use the spoils of America, cut down all the trees that are in our forests. But who put the trees there, and who got advantages out of that tree, the lumber from those trees? When we start applying taxes the way it should be applied, when we start taking into account externalities, we have Cancer Alley around here in this country. Nobody pays, none of those companies pay for the damage they've created to the health of these people. When we start letting folks pay for the damage that they've caused, in the form of taxes, then everybody would be appropriately taken care of. So, describing the road is not difficult, but requires informing the electorate more in depth than they would get on cable news, on broadcast news, or on any other news, folks. So please, this is important. Now the third is even more important because it is existential for getting votes. And here it goes. The third part of the narrative requires preemption. Republicans are in complete control of the government. As such, Democrats must not take the blame for the likelihood of many bad things on the horizon. Democrat must include a narrative against externalities immediately. I wrote about this a few weeks ago, stating the following, and this is what I said. Democrats must preempt all narratives that cede defense of terrorism to the president and the Republicans. In fact, Democrats must put out the narrative now that America is at risk of a terrorist attack because of a dysfunctional State Department and a Department of Homeland Security run by an unqualified secretary. Democrats must be on the offensive and must be in preemption mode. The same must occur on the Affordable Care Act just before the 2018 election. Americans will receive another health insurance premium shock. They need to know why they're going to get that shock. Democrats must cauterize within the minds of Americans the reality that terrorist attacks and health insurance spikes will likely occur in the forthcoming months because of Republican actions. They must repeat it over and over ad nauseum. It is essential that they are not caught flat-footed, having to fight from a defensive position. They must preempt and stay on the offensive. That is how Democrats ensure the blue wave does not turn into a ripple. We should add potentially as well a stock market crash and economic system meltdown. I mean, the tax cut scam is throwing a whole lot of a whole lot of money into the markets right now. And based on how this capitalist system works, based on the theories and the laws that govern this capitalist system, it doesn't have to be this way, but based on the current laws that govern it, throwing that amount of money during full employment and throwing that kind of capital release into the economy could do quite a bit of damage. And the worst part about it is that you don't have any recourse for recovery. Republicans' fiscal tax scam is a definite detriment to society. But folks, Democrats must put this narrative throughout the ethos loudly, often, and via every outlet possible. Mainstream media, independent media. Who is independent media? KPFT, Politics Done Right. All these media forms must be used because you know what? A lot of the folks who listen to us, the KPFTs, the Politics Done Rights, and all these other programs, they don't trust the mainstream media, and they have good reason not to trust the mainstream media. The fact that we're only talking Stormy Daniels and Russia for the most part, and not talking about the decimation that is occurring within the federal system right now as they concentrate on issues that don't affect you. We concentrate on issues that affect you. We tell you that right now the environmental secretary is decimating regulations that's going to mess up your water, that's going to mess up your health. We're reporting that. We are telling you all about all these particular issues. We're telling you what the Homeland Security is doing. Nothing to really keep you safe. You know, we are informing you of these issues, but you know, you stay on mainstream TV, you get a lot of Stormy Daniels, even MSNBC, Stormy Daniels and Russia. I love or lady. Come on, who comes on after Chris Hayes?
That woman. I don't know why.
We both got to freeze it. That's
freeze
okay.
Yeah,
we got to freeze at the same. But I mean, it's Rachel Maddow. Yeah, Rachel Maddow. We love her, but come on. There's a hell of a lot more damage doing to us right now than the Russia and the Stormy Daniels story. So, folks, Democrats must put this narrative throughout the ethos loudly, often and via every outlet possible: mainstream media, independent media, social media. And you know what? A lot of times folks forget. Face-to-face gatherings. Get out of Washington and get into your district. And go ahead and create a whole lot of town halls. Yet some of it's going to get messy because the right wing is going to send some people to disrupt it. But don't worry. Call an indivisible Houston. Call an indivisible Kingwood. Call an indivisible TXO2. Call in all these guys. They'll be there. They will be there to make sure that Americans get the hearing that they need. Call TX left or swing left. They'll be there. They'll be there. But get face to face and tell these people in your district what you are going to do when you get up there. And if you're trying to knock somebody out of the district that they're in right now, you do it. You don't have an office right now, you do it. Get out there, walk the pavement, get a bullhorn, you know, put some clothes on that looks funny, make people laugh at you. And then when they come out to see this spectacle, you tell them what you're going to do for them. Look, a blue wave won't just happen. It has to be manufactured. It has to be sold, and it has to be consumed. Folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Let's go to somebody that didn't call. Number three, Kevin. Let's go to number three, Kevin. Kevin, come on in, my friend.
Hey, Alberto.
Talk to me.
I'm a volunteer at Montgomery County Democratic Headquarters.
Yes, sir.
And we were talking about Plank over the weekend at the convention.
Uh-huh.
And there was some talk about impeachment getting put in there.
Right.
Well, cooler heads prevailed, and they were echoing exactly what you're talking about. We got to talk issues.
Absolutely so.
And my position on the impeachment was, if we do take back the House, you know, there is a possibility of it. I told everybody it's not certain. It will be the Republicans who will not hesitate to bring impeachment.
Of course. You get
because, yeah, they got to get rid of him and get Pence in. And that's something we got to get ready for.
It is, you know, it is amazing, right? And what I tell people is we have to start learning how to play big game, ball game, big game. In other words, we have to stop being stooges for the system. And I'm
talking,
that
right?
Yeah, we have to. And look, let me tell you this. I believe that the Democratic Party has done a whole lot of crazy things that didn't go right. One of the things that I tell people all of the time is forget about party and remember values, and everything will fall into place. And what you just said that you did with your group out there, as far as let's talk issues and start talking about what our issues are going to be, that is what we have to do, brother. That is what we have to do. Look, Russia, if he really colluded, that's going to come out. If he really, to put it bluntly, I don't even think it's about Russian collusion. I think it's about money laundering, okay? That is my gut feeling. I have no evidence because I'm not privy to what Mueller is privy to. But, you know, we know that guy has no values, and not only that he has no values, that he doesn't have the brains to be any kind of billionaire. But anyhow, anything else you want to say, brother?
Yeah, I just think, the impeachment will take care of itself.
Yes.
We just got to get back to the House.
Look.
And this old philosophy of we got to go to the center, we got to reach across the aisle. I don't know about other Democrats, and I'm a very, very liberal, far-left Democrat.
Amen.
Man. I am tired of getting hit in the mouth by Republicans.
Thank you.
I'm tired of getting my hands bit.
Thank you.
And no, you know, was it a Buddha saying or no? Well, one of those. It says forgiveness is only possible when the other one quits hitting you.
Exactly. Thank you. Let me, Kevin,
now
listen.
you can go to, yes.
Let me tell you something, Kevin, okay? And this is fact here. We have to start playing big ball. And big ball means that you're not going to fall for the same crap that you've fallen for over the last 30 years, because the last 30 years, you see what it has brought us. You have to, I am a very civil guy. I believe in giving everybody the opportunity, but when we are going in to go ahead and say what we have to do to support middle class and poor America, I am going to do everything necessary by all means necessary. You follow what I'm saying, Kevin?
Oh, I'm with you, man.
All right, brother. You have a great day. Thank you very much for calling. And you like I said, you have a wonderful day. All right?
You too.
Bye-bye. All right, let's see. Let me go to line number 4. Line number 4, you're hot, Joni. Come on in, Joni.
Hi, Alberto. It's good to talk to you. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I wanted to mention that I'd heard, I didn't actually see the quote, but I heard that there was a quote that Bush, I did it again. Trump put in about the blue wave, and he said the midterms, something to the effect of, the midterms don't have to be as bad as everybody thinks it's going to. Look at what happened in Bush's first term. Speaking of Bush W,
right?
And that was 9/11. And so I don't think you're being psychic when you say we could get a hit of some kind. And I'm not going to make the implication anywhere. I don't want to spin that. I'll let everybody else,
no, Joni,
use their brain.
First of all, Joni, there's nothing about spinning. He did say it. I wrote when he said it. I wrote it in a blog, and I placed it on the Daily Coast front page at that point. Let me tell you, he did say that. He did say that a terrorist attack could occur. And one of the things that they're doing is he has a lot of incompetent people running Homeland Security right now. So they're not really out there trying to stop something from happening. They would like something to happen.
I'm afraid they would.
And
yes.
they believe that if something happens, that they're in the driver's seat. What I'm trying to tell, and this is what is most upsetting with Democrats right now, is that they are always fighting a battle on the defensive instead of fighting on the offensive. Americans need to know right now that there's a likelihood a terrorist attack is going to occur, and it's going to occur because of the incompetence of the Republican Party and how they're handling the country's security right now. And they don't just have to use those words. They can then go ahead and give examples why. The woman that is now the Secretary of Homeland Security has no experience there. Number 2, all our state departments been decimated, which means the inter-country contacts are no longer very robust. You need
diplomacy.
Right. You need good diplomacy so that all of you can work together to prevent those eventualities. None of that is there. But Americans don't know that, Joni.
What I'm concerned about too, though, and what I've seen try to happen with Clinton is that I don't like when the Democrats try to use the same hardball tactics, undercutting of character. I'm trying to think too fast. Things that don't shine a good light on the Democratic Party.
Right.
They don't care.
Right.
They don't care. Whatever it is, whatever they have to do to win, and it doesn't matter if it's lie, cheat, steal, kill. They don't care, and I don't want to see Democrats fall into that same thing in order to win the game. And I really don't know what the answer is at that point.
Well, the truth of the matter is, I don't think they have to. Let me tell you something. I talk to a lot of Republicans because and there are a lot of Republicans that want to come our way, but that liberal and the word liberal and Democrats have been made so caustic to them.
Yes.
That making that leap is difficult. So the way I approach my Republican buddies, my conservative buddies, is I tell them one thing: nobody's asking you to change your party. Nobody's asking you to change your ideology. They're just asking you to save the country. And if you have to make a difficult vote to save the country, do it. Because that makes you a hero. And then we can fight about ideology some other time. But right now, save the country. Save what needs to be saved. Save your kids.
Thank you.
You see what I'm saying, Joni?
I do. Thank you so much.
You have a wonderful day, my friend.
You too. Bye.
Take care now. Okay, let's go ahead and go to line number 2 with Scott. Come on in, Scott.
Thank you.
Come on in.
I haven't heard you mention an economic safety net.
I didn't say that. Well, healthcare.
You didn't say it that way.
Well, right. Healthcare is a part of the economic safety. But before you say anything, I want to mention something that my producer says. FDR was a Republican before becoming a progressive. Very true point. But I want to hold on a second, Scott. What you just said, Don, is very important. There was a time that you didn't sit down and worry about Democrat or Republican when it comes to progressivism, right? Because you had your progressive Democrats and the progressive Republicans. And in fact, it was the progressive Republicans who were that transition to
the
50s for civil rights. Absent progressive Republicans, there would be no civil rights for Brother Johnson. So for all my Republican listeners, I don't hold anything against any ideology, party, or whatever, and I give kudos where it needs to be. It's just that the Republican Party has turned bat-you-know-what crazy over the years, and they've taken my brothers and sisters along for the ride. So appropriately either save your party or join the progressive movement.
Well,
go ahead, Scott.
I would ditch the words socialism and capitalism. I think they're relics of the Cold War.
Okay.
Yeah. There are a lot of right-wingers who still enjoy accusing us of being communist, or if not socialist.
Mm-hmm.
I like to tell them that I like to remind them that the Soviet Union dissolved January 1st, 1992. That's a generation ago.
Mm-hmm.
They're really living in the past.
Right. Well, let me tell you something, Scott, and I think this is important, right? One of the problems with progressives, with liberals, with Democrats, is when the first time somebody calls you a socialist or a communist, you freeze up and you change what you're talking about. I don't. You can call me.
They're living in the past.
Yeah, let me finish with what I'm saying though. What I really want to say. We have to get a spine. You have a spine. I'm not talking about you, Scott. You told them exactly right when you tell them, hey, you're living in the past. But a lot of people don't do what you just said. A lot of people, instead of saying, sir, you're living in the past, what they'll say, oh, let me explain why I am not a communist. Let me explain to you why you're wrong when you think that I'm a No, you go out aggressively. No, this is what I stand for. Don't you want this for every American? Don't you want that for every American? Do you want to call that socialist? You can call it whatever the hell you want to call it. But I tell you what, that's what I want for Americans right now. I don't care what you want to call it. So you started this conversation, Scott, by saying capitalists and socialists are relics of the past. To some extent, yes. But I hate that you actually use socialists and capitalists in the same verse, because capitalist is an economic structure. You can actually have a communist country like China that is completely and entirely a capitalist country.
Tell me, is it capitalist if I own my own home?
No, it is a free enterprise, and that's what I've been trying to tell people.
That's part of how I'd use the word capitalist if I use it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Might be able to communicate with some Republican cousins that way.
Right.
Last job I had was with Gary Oil Company.
Mm-hmm.
There was talk about nationalizing oil companies back in the 1930s.
Yes.
I did not want to be working for moral majority oil company, which is what I think it would be if it had been nationalized back in the 30s. I think homophobia would be a lot more entrenched if most people had to work for the government.
Well, let me. I'm going to have to drop your call right now, Scott.
Okay.
But I'm going to answer some of what you just said with the oil. First of all, unlike yourself, Scott, I believe there are certain industries I think should be nationalized. I believe the oil industry should be nationalized. I believe the banking industry should be nationalized. Anything where everybody have a 100% interest in as a society, I think should be nationalized. If you're making microwaves or you're designing all these other types of products and so forth, I think it is great for that to fall into the free enterprise realm. But things that are necessary for all people to live, I don't think any company governed by shareholders who can decide to withhold or make life difficult for you belong in that system. I mean, that's just my belief. A lot of people, technically speaking, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, a lot of people would frown at that. But when you look at it basically and say, look, I cannot see how we can turn over all the resources that was placed into the earth by, if you're a religious person, by God, if you're a humanist like me, by happenstance of the way the system works, how do you give that to individuals and have them profit more than the place where it's found? I just don't get it. Anyhow, so that is just my point of view. It's not the majority point of view yet, but I hope to make it at some point in time. MOD line number 1. Come on in, MOD.
Hello.
Talk to me, brother.
Okay, well, you just want me to stand up and say raw after you just said that, Roberto.
Oh, you agree, huh?
Of course. That's when the few have control over this earth. Does it have a happy ending? I'm waiting for it, but they tell us it's going to be a happy ending. But yeah. Well, to your point, I called in when you started talking about the point percentage change, and it made me think. So I want to share this with you. Okay, tell me what you think.
Sure.
Like so. I really thought highly of Susan Warren.
Mm-hmm.
She, at one time, was the secretary of Consumer Bureau, and she was, trying to put some regulation back into the markets to, basically some form of installation of the Glass-Steagall.
Sure.
This the separation of the.
You're talking about Elizabeth Warren.
Yes, Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, I'm sorry, not Susan. Elizabeth. I'm sorry. Elizabeth Warren, right? Do you remember before she was taken out of this position where she was pushing for re-regulating the markets with Glass-Steagall as the secretary of the Customer Bureau agency?
Mm-hmm.
Somehow she was taken out of that position and told to go run as senator.
Right.
That to me, there's your progressive. There's someone that's pushing for something that would keep those few people that have control. What you just said before I got on about having the control, of the reins here on this planet.
Absolutely. So we have to be careful of that. I mean, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. You see, when the Powell Manifesto came out, the idea behind the Powell Manifesto was to start having people think that somehow the government was they wanted people to think like the government was a bad corporation and that all corporations were good because they were private and the government, government wasn't. What they forget to tell you is government really means we, the people. If government is bad, it means we elected bad people. If government is good, we elected good people. But ultimately, the government works for the people, right? Now,
it does.
But let me make another point that's
not bad.
Right, and what is very important though, MOD, that a lot of people don't get across, right, is they always think about private is better. Not true, and this is one thing I want to tell people. Private means that corporation first responsibility is to the shareholders who own that company, and they'll do whatever it is to satisfy them, not you. So it is a fallacy to believe that if something is private, it is better for you. It is a fallacy that was pushed by the Powell Manifesto. Continue, my friend.
And so I want to give you these three stages of why we think there's disgruntlement or just complacentness with the Progressive Party, the Democratic Party, and when she became a senator, her first budget bill, where Merrill Lynch was basically about I looked it up and verified $50-some trillion in the red that Bank of America owns them, and in the budget bill that she signed, they basically put that debt underneath what's it called, insurance.
Right. It's a credit default swaps. Yes.
So that right there made me say, okay, there's something wrong. I mean, started out good. She got pulled out of her position, which she was going to do something positive, and now she's signing the bills that carry the debt on us. The second piece was like a DNC cover up. No one talks about. If you do, you're some kind of racist honky or whatever. You're Alex Jones listener. If you question why did they blow up the DNC party, why did they take Bernie out? Why are they talking about all the caucuses that were robbed throughout the election primary with Bernie winning in New York and California? That's a concern thing. The third stage of concern would be putting a banker crony like Tom Perez as the chair and having him in there now. And that, to me, is like something's wrong.
Yeah, what was the name of the guy that was running against Tom Perez? I forget his name right now.
He was good guy.
Yeah.
And they call him a Muslim lover.
Right. No, he is a Muslim. He is Muslim.
It doesn't matter, but they did that, didn't they?
Yes, they did. And the Democratic Party did that.
Yeah, and that's what bothers me. The fourth piece would be that lady Moser that you're talking about, the progressive.
Yeah, Moser right here in District 7. Yeah.
I voted for her, because the primary just came up, and the DNC was going after her.
Right.
I mean, that pisses me off. I'll leave you with this. So if we can't, if that isn't, people aren't paying attention, and they don't have a fraction of a percent of the consciousness, is this why we are actually watching a porn star and a bankrupt
billionaire,
as our main news, and not say something's wrong as a collective? I think we're duped, and we just don't care. What?
No, I think what it is right now is that we are simply being played. That's what it is. I got to let you go, MOD.
Oh, peace. Thanks.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one. All right, let's go to line number 5. Johnny, come on in, Johnny.
Hey, I only need 2 minutes to give my list of things that I want as a voter.
Go for
it never occurred
sir.
to me. I haven't done that in quite a while, and we've well into midterms now, so I guess it's appropriate.
Yes.
Okay, the first item, which is the most important and makes possible everything else on my list, is the reestablishment of a progressive tax code similar to the levels of the early 1950s.
Amen.
With no loopholes.
Amen.
No loopholes.
Amen.
Number 2, a nationwide, long-term, comprehensive infrastructure program similar to what we had under FDR in the 1930s, funded by the above-referenced progressive tax code.
Amen.
Number 3, the establishment of a fully funded corporation for public broadcasting, along with enshrinement of the CPB and the Internet, with the same level of constitutional protection the post office has.
Amen.
Number 4,
I love what you're talking about.
health care.
Yes.
Number 5, tuition-free K through college or tech voc for all U.S. citizens, including those who aren't yet citizens. 6, criminal prosecution and punishment and fine money clawback from white-collar and Wall Street criminals. Number 7, dismissal of all law enforcement found to have been members in any kind of white nationalist group, like the Oath Keepers or whatever, or who have unlawfully killed Black and Latino Americans. And the last one on my list is a nationwide goal of a hybrid economic system consisting of 40% cooperative businesses and 60% what we have now. And we can do that gradually.
Oh, my God. You know something, Johnny?
Years, we increase by 10% the number of cooperative businesses.
Johnny.
So over several decades, we can achieve a 40% mix.
Johnny, I love just about everything that you said. That is
What
great.
don't
And
you
I said I love everything that you said.
You said just about.
Well, I had to hedge a little bit because there's one sentence that I missed and I wasn't sure what it was. So
did you want me to clarify something?
No, not at all. I love what you had to say. So here's the deal. I need you to do me a favor. I don't know if you write that stuff down and send it to me.
Okay, I'll email it to you. Hold on, let me write down your email.
Okay, it's easy. info@politicsdoneright.com. info@politicsdoneright.com. Send me a headshot.
Do I spell at or just the A with the circle around it?
No, the A with the circle around it.
info@politicsdoneright.com.
Very easy, Johnny. Very easy, Johnny.
PHT?
Politicsdoneright.com. Johnny, when you come to this station, I'm going to get you for asking me this question, Johnny.
What's that?
Hey, Johnny, here's the deal. When you send me that list, also include a headshot because I'm going to make you a star for putting that list out.
No.
I am not kidding you. Johnny, listen to me, Johnny. That is a great list that you have there, and I want to put it out there. You are going to be the vlog of the day tomorrow. Send me that list, and also send me your headshot. You have a wonderful day. All right, brother?
Okay, I'll send you the email, but no headshot, and I'll also tell you what I said to my new neighbors about bottom line pockets.
All right, brother. You have a good one, okay?
Stay safe. There's crazy people out there.
Okay, brother. Take it easy. Bye-bye. All right, let's go to line number 6 with William. Is Johnny a blast or what? He's a good-looking guy. Why don't you want his headshot, man? Anyhow, I like to post blogs with headshots. Okay, let's go. 713-526-5738. All lines are open minus William's line. William, come on in.
Yeah. How about this guy that's going to be the head of the VA?
Oh, I didn't. Let me tell you, the guy was the actual doctor for the president. I'll be frank with you. I didn't do any research. Folks, we have lines open. 713.
You know what he wants to do, don't you?
Yes, hold 1 second.
He's come out verbally.
Yes, he wants to go ahead and privatize the VA.
You know how many people are going to be marching in the street over that?
Look, here's the deal, William. We can talk about people marching in the streets and all of that. We have April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. You, William, and everybody listening have 8 months or just under 8 months to tell everybody you know that if they want to save their lifestyle, if they want to save their country, if they want to save what they know is left of the little that they have, they better vote appropriately. It doesn't matter that if what he says about going into the VA right now, if the appropriate measures are taken in November, none of it would matter.
And there's one other thing I wanted to point out.
Yes.
It seems like he's terrified to point anybody he doesn't know.
Of course he is.
Because, it's just absolutely insane.
Hold 1 second now, William. Folks, we have open line 713-526-5738. Again, the number is 713-526-5738. We'll get in as soon. I think we lost William. Anyhow, folks, let's go to the Facebook page as we wait for a couple more calls. If I can get to my Facebook page. We had a lot of good commentary on the Facebook page. We had CZAC who called into the show yesterday and had some interesting things to say. Let's see. Michael Redden said, Mike, we're talking specifically about the marginal rate. I probably should get to the one before. No one paid the 90% taxes in the 50s. No one would work to pay 90% in taxes. We'd quickly turn into something worse than Venezuela. Again, you don't understand the reason for having 90%. And you know what? You're kind of right in a back way, okay? You put 90% on income so that it's not the preferred method of pilfering America, right? If 90% of your money is going to go into taxes, guess what you're likely to do to make sure that the country moves forward, to make sure your company moves forward? You're going to invest in the company. Right now, we allow companies to die because we extract everything out of the companies because there's not that high tax rate for pilfering. You create a high tax rate for pilfering and there's not a problem. So, I mean, CSEC, believe it or not, you had the answer. You had the answer. Not only did you have the answer, but you were correct. You were correct that we want to have those higher rates so that people won't, hoard money. Folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Lines are open, 713-526-5738. According to Michael Rudwin, Clinton's polling numbers went up after the Lewinsky scandal, which is true. Same with Trump, with Stormy Daniels. This is not a winning issue for Democrats, but it is telling how evangelicals don't seem to care about their own morality when it is one of their own caught in a sex scandal. They never care about morality. We just have to look at all the televangelists that went to jail, all the televangelists. I mean, the question is, why do people follow them? Why do people think that these guys have some moral call? They don't. I mean, my garbage man, I think, is worth more than most of these preachers. I have more respect for my garbage man or the person that sweeps the floors and that sort of stuff. I have a lot more respect for these people, period. Okay, Rene Perpetua. Totally agree for the need for a clearly educated democratic platform. Actually, if at my site, I have the Democratic platform listed. The platform is pretty darn complete. The problem is that nobody follows the platform. What progressives need to do is force Democrats to live by the platform. Again, folks, the lines are still open, 713-526-5738. Mark Cisak, because a government monopoly is just as bad as business monopoly, we have a VA system that is horrible. That is a complete fallacy, my dear friend. The VA system is hard to get into because of overcrowding and that sort of thing. Once people get into the VA system as a member, as a part of it, they love it to death. All polls say that. If you're interested in fact-based information, look that up and you'll see that most veterans, when they get into the VA system, they love it. They don't want to go into an independent private system for profit that is really milking every piece of dollar out of them. So no, that is really not a true statement. And on Politics Done Right, the only thing that we know how to do here is tell the truth. Let's see. Michael Rodin, corruption is bribery. You're talking about fraud and waste. That's not. Let's see. We also have the only way the healthcare work on any scale is capping and reducing costs. Having a for-profit health system leads to making EpiPen costs or other essential for life medicines like insulin almost unattainable or with crippling costs. It's even worse than that. Look. If a doctor is also a business, he has to make money. And if he is a business having to make money, then fee for service is what we get. And fee for service means if you go into a doctor's office, it is essential that he find that there's something wrong with you. You go into a dentist's office today with a simple cavity. I want to know how many people think they can go into a dentist's office and say, I have a cavity here. And somehow that dentist is going to just want to drill a little bit and put a filling in it. Most dentists now want to do a root canal and a crown. That is where we have fee for service. Okay, let's see what else is here. If you have people, this is from Rene Perpetua. If you have people like Pruitt rolling back environmental protection, it does not matter how much they reduce government. And that is so true. I had a message yesterday. One of the people on Facebook went ahead and made a comment yesterday. It said, Egberto, which one it is? Is it the environment or is it the environment or something else? And I said, they're not mutually exclusive. We have to be concerned about employment and we have to be concerned about environment. We have about 2 more minutes left of the show. I can take one more call if somebody wants to call in, 713-526-5738. All lines are open, 713-526-5738. I think I have another message here from, let's see, I've given you some time already. Let me see if I can get somebody else that hadn't had any time. I wish some of you that are writing on Facebook who have great messages call in sometime, because the kind of information that you have on the website is pretty good. The only politician who would take lobby dollar bribes are libertarians. Democrats wheel and deal on taxes. Now, this came from my resident Republican conservative guy on my page. You can't really believe that the only politicians taking bribes are Democrats and independents. They are all, every single one of them are taking bribes. But folks, we are at the end of the show right now. We will be closing out. Thank you so kindly for being a part of Politics Done Right. We couldn't do it without you. My name is Egberto. What's that? My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and we are out.
Hey kids, listen online to either of KPFT's 2 live channels on your phone. Install the TuneIn app, available for both Apple and Android, and then search for KPFT. You'll see both the FM channel and the newly improved HD3 channel. Press play and you're listening, or point your browser to kpft.org. Listening online means no more reception issues. Tune in our mix of local social justice shows and music selected with love by our Houston DJs, all there on your phone at any time.